Having an overwhelming urge to write a novel but not having any ideas is one of the most frustrating feelings as a writer. I've definitely had it myself on multiple occasions, so if that's the situation you're in right now, let's change that by the end of this video. Before I get started, I just want to mention that I had a great chat with Steve Donoghue about this channel and writing in general this week. He's a booktuber, a book critic and a book reviewer, and I'll leave a link to his channel and the video in the description below. And if you've come over from Steve's community after seeing the video, thanks so much for being here. So, struggling with ideas. I've mentioned in at least my last two videos that I've just come out of a writing slump, and the way I did that was by pursuing the tiniest trace of an idea, but pursuing it in just the right way. I'm going to talk about some practical stuff that I did to help me find this idea, and also some philosophical stuff about writing in general. Hopefully, if you're struggling to find your own idea, then this stuff might help you too. The first thing I'll recommend is not to sit in front of a white page. That white page and that little blinking, judgmental cursor is not doing you any favours whatsoever. Step away from that blank page, take yourself off somewhere quieter where you can sit and think for a while. And that's a problem in itself. Sometimes if you're concentrating so much on coming up with an idea, or you're thinking so heavily about writing, I think you can block any new ideas from coming in just because your mind's already occupied with a million different things. It's kind of like that feeling when you're too tired to sleep. It's the most frustrating thing. If we're talking about catching butterflies, which obviously we are, there's two approaches. You can chase one with a net and use all of your energy up, or you can wait for one to just land on your shoulder. For me, the second option always brings better results, and of course that is just my preference, that's just how I work. As always with this channel, I will remind you, there is no right or wrong with writing, it's just subjective. It's whatever works for you is absolutely valid. I just tend to find if I chase an idea feverishly with that net, not only does it get away from me, but it knocks a bunch of stuff down at the same time. I'm sure you've heard the concept of shower thoughts before. It's when you're taking a shower and your mind isn't occupied with anything, so these epiphanies come to you, these moments of clarity, the obvious answers to complicated questions. I think the reason for that is your mind doesn't have to concentrate so much on taking a shower. It's an automatic action, so your brain's just free to multitask and roam around and be creative. That kind of mental bandwidth is the space you need for a good idea to come to you and for you to make the most of it. While you're working or out and about or busy or watching Netflix, there's always going to be less space available for your mind to accept new ideas. And if you never slow down, if you never stop doing all that stuff, no ideas. In terms of a practical approach for when you've got no ideas whatsoever, here's what I'd suggest. Take some quiet time, as much as you can get, and just sit and read for as long as you can. Read something that sparks your creativity usually, or is related to your genre, or just something that you love. And take the time to really read and think about what you're reading. Then when you've finished that, just close the book and just sit for a while. Sit and think and give your brain some time. Don't pick up that phone, don't do it, it's not going to help you. It's evil and it wants to distract you from writing a story that will make you happy. I don't care if it's monster trucks, don't do it. Sit and let your mind wander, and you might be surprised what comes to you. And even if nothing does on this particular occasion, well, you've just spent some time reading and thinking about writing anyway. Taking time to do this regularly if you can, I think is a healthy exercise for any writer. You're engaging with reading and you're engaging with thinking about writing and not just sitting down and automatically doing it. Sometimes for me, I get too focused on the progress I should be making with the writing. I think too much about the word count instead of the value of what I'm actually getting down on the page. And taking some time away to just stop and think about that can slow your pace down and produce better results in general, I think. This is what I did fairly recently with this new idea that's come to me. I knew I wasn't spending enough time reading and thinking about writing, but I was desperate to write something and it was totally blocking me. But by taking some time, the idea came to me. And when it came to me, it wasn't even an idea at all. And let me know in the comments if this is how you find it too. It was just something like a spark of an idea, a tiny snapshot into a story that needed me to expand it into an actual idea. All I saw was snow. Bleak, flat landscape that I immediately knew was Antarctica, and a third-person view of a character in snow gear stood just looking into darkness and oncoming snow. I knew there was something bearing down on this character and that this character felt hopeless, but I also knew this wasn't going to be it for that character. And that's just one way to get onto a story. It doesn't have to be like that, it doesn't have to be a sudden moment of realisation. Nothing so concrete as that. You may have already had the idea that's going to turn into your novel, but you just might not know it yet. Maybe you've got a notebook or a Word document or the back of a napkin where you've written down an idea for a character, but you never did anything with it, even though you think it's good. Or the same could be said for a setting or a theme or anything like that. Maybe you've got that stuff that you've never really used. I'm like that. I've got plenty of stuff in backup that I just haven't figured out what to do with, and I might never. We were watching Neil Gaiman's masterclass the other day, and if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. He seems like a great teacher. One thing he said really stuck with me. He said that ideas come from the convergence of two things. So a theme and a character could go together, or a setting and a character, or a setting and a theme. All of this stuff, if you put it together, may spark an idea for you. There's a reason that those good ideas came to you and you wrote them down, even if you couldn't do anything with them right now. Perhaps they just needed time to form themselves in your mind, or they were waiting for the other half of the idea to come to you. Not everything's going to drop into your lap in a perfect, brilliant light of an idea. It just doesn't happen that often. Sometimes it does. Sometimes the butterfly might land right on your shoulder. Other times it might hover a foot from your face, in which case you've got to grab it. If you've taken some time to try and open your mind up and make it available for ideas to come in, and nothing has, and you've looked over your old notebooks and all of your half-formed ideas and nothing there can go together and nothing really is sparking for you, there might be something else you can do, but you might have to change how you're thinking about it. Maybe it's not that you have to write a novel right now. Maybe you just need to write a story. There's plenty of ways of doing that besides a novel, and there's plenty of value in doing that. Try writing a short story. Most of my ideas come to me as tiny moments, and a lot of the time they're just flash fictions. That's all they are, and they don't connect to anything else, and I write them down and it's great, and it's really satisfying to just get them done. Other times they're short stories, and I can connect them to other short stories and make a little mini-series. Sometimes I can make a long series out of them, and other times I've written a short story and thought, this is going to be a novel. And that short story then either becomes a chapter from the novel, or it just becomes this weird source material that I take things from, and then when the novel's finished I just quietly close it down and never look at it again. Sometimes a novel idea can come to you in disguise, and it looks like a short story or it looks like a flash fiction, but as you write more of it and as you get further into it, you figure out that there's a whole load of depth hidden from you. But the only way you're going to get there and realise that is by writing it. If you have a small idea, even that you know you want to turn into a novel eventually, write the shorter version first, perfect it, figure out what it's all about, and new opportunities and new angles will show themselves to you as you're writing it. Find out what you want to say with it, and the whole thing might expand for you. Finishing stuff makes you a better writer, and I know you might be itching to write a novel right this moment, but that honestly might not be the best thing for you at this stage of your writing life. Even if you've written novels before, sometimes for me I'm just thinking, I want to write a novel, but this is just not right. I need to write short stories or flash fiction for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you can't do it, it just means it's not the right time or it's not the right idea. Perhaps the clearest piece of advice I can give you if you're struggling to come up with a novel idea right now is not to think about what you want to write, but think about what you want to read and try and write that. My aim with this channel is to support other writers and to help them develop their writing as I develop mine. I want to help you tell your best story, so if that sounds useful or if you want to be a part of that, consider hitting the subscribe button down below for more videos like this every week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.